Hi beauties! Today is a very special vlog where I get very personal and talk about my personal story and how being a celebrity nutritionist has led to this feel-good movement, which we are now launching and now so excited to share with you. So first of all, when I graduated from college, I had no clue what I was going to do. I ended up backpacking the world for 3 years, where I was living in a tent for months in Africa, and I was in India for months. I was learning about yoga and meditation and Ayurveda. I was in Mongolia, I was in China, I was all around the world. I was living off this small amount of savings that I had after I worked for a year after college, and I was just learning so much, but I had no clue what I was going to do. So I got back to New York City, and basically I was hustling. One of the first things I did was I did a yoga teacher training, and I was teaching yoga, which I liked very much, and I was able to get some private clients, which helped a lot financially because I was pretty broke at the time. I was, going back, learning more about nutrition, and I started this free blog, which at the time was KimberlySnyder.net. After a few years, we bought KimberlySnyder.com from this Canadian guitarist who wanted some crazy high price at first. But then we got her down, and then it became KimberlySnyder.com. But it started KimberlySnyder.net for years. That's what it was. And I was so, in my heart, I was just, learning and experiencing. I was in this yoga community. We would make this kale salad together. That would become the Dharma's kale salad. That's a staple recipe in our community. I was just, experimenting and trying things and learning and talking about my travel on the road and writing about it. And I didn't really expect anything from it. And one day in my little kitchenette, we had this refurbished Vitamix. It was my first Vitamix. I put a bunch of water, a bunch of spinach, a couple of bananas, blended it up. And I ran over to my boyfriend at the time, who was sitting on our beat up blue couch. I said, "What do you think of this?" And I shoved the Vitamix blender in his face, and he took a spoon. He was like, "Oh, it's actually pretty good." And that became the basis of the glowing green smoothie. And later, I remember, fast forward a couple years, I was doing a Dr. Oz segment, and the glowing green smoothie was part of it. And I just heard Dr. Oz say in the glowing green smoothie, and I got this flashback to being in this tiny kitchenette, blending this up. And I just thought to myself, holy crap, how did this happen? Because I didn't really plan for it to happen, but it was all very organic and was part of this flow. So there I was writing. I ended up, different magazines started approaching me. The second television segment I ever did was Good Morning America. I was living in New York City. There was a lot of shooting going around. Somehow I got on a film set one day. I met my first celebrity. We hit it off. I ended up working with other celebrities. It keeps going and going, and suddenly I'm moving from New York to LA. I'm working in Hollywood full time. I'm working with some of the biggest stars in the world, like Drew Barrymore and Reese Witherspoon and Channing Tatum and Chris Hemsworth. And I'm just like, whoa, how did this happen? Here's this girl that was backpacking around the world, doesn't even own a TV. I still don't own a TV, by the way. I watch a couple movies a year, and I'm in this world. And it was pretty wild and pretty crazy, but I learned so much, and it was amazing. It was super fun. I loved my clients. I loved being able to support them. But then I started feeling like I want to work on reaching more people. I want to refocus my life, because when I was working with celebrities, oftentimes I would live with them for months of shooting. I was on jets. It was all encompassing, and I had to pull back from my work with the greater whole to an extent. So those of you that are my long-term readers will, kind of look back around Beauty Detox Power. There was this shift happening where I was starting to go in a more spiritual direction, and Beauty Detox Power talked about chakras, and it talked about, cravings and mental, emotional sides of eating. And then by my fourth book, Radical Beauty, there was this whole spirituality section. I co-authored it with Deepak Chopra. So I was really going that way anyway. But then in 2017, last year, a huge life event happened where very suddenly, within 6 weeks, we learned my mother had cancer on Valentine's Day, and by the end of March, she had passed. And this was one of those, boom, those events that hits you in the face, the biggest event in my life, really, besides the birth of Bubby. But this was all about the fragility of life, I looked at everything. I felt like I cracked open. I started looking at all my relationships. I looked at my life work, everything. And this was the beginning of the birth of Saluna and the Feel Good movement. I felt like I wanted to dedicate my life to go deeper, to support people in ways I knew were needed and not necessarily the focus of my life at that point. So when I was working with clients, it was so much, it wasn't the food, it was this, support and love and nurturing and talking about all of life. And that is what I wanted to create with the Feel Good movement. The Feel Good movement, well, first of all, Saluna means the uniting of the sun and the moon. So it's all about embracing all cycles of life, being really authentic, being who we are. And the feeling good isn't about being perfect and being in the sun all the time. Feeling good is actually about finding a level of peace in our perfectly imperfect lives. It has nothing to do with perfection, having a perfect body or so-called perfect family or any of that, but it's being whole and being complete. And so this is where I feel the natural extension of my work is in launching this whole movement. So we have the hashtag Feel Good Movement. A lot of our Instagram, which is at Saluna by KS now, is going to focus on talking about all these different parts. Big part of the website, the Feel Good Circle, it's a part where we dedicate to these deeper themes, exploring from emotional, spiritual, mental side of ourselves, which is a huge part of wellness. How we explore getting past body shame and healing self-doubt and the inner critic and raising our confidence level, raising our self-love, being more courageous, finding inner peace. So it's this whole huge part of wellness that I feel is missing. So Saluna and the Feel Good movement, it's about feeling good in your own skin, feeling good, feeling confident. So there is, of course, the food philosophy will always be there. And we have the most amazing supplements, the most amazing skincare, which is not only non-toxic, but actually really works. It's efficacious. All the botanicals work well together. We have things like, plant-based alternative to retinol, which you wouldn't want to use long-term every day anyway, and a really effective form of vitamin C serum that's 10 times more powerful. So we have all that to really balance and anchor your day. But then we also have this deeper part of the Feel Good movement, coming together as a community to support each other where we are, the Feel Good Circle. So and these meditations are going to still keep coming, free meditations. So this is really a much more holistic lifestyle brand. It's taking it out of my name. It's putting it into the name of Saluna, which couldn't be more universal. It's the sun and the moon. It's for all of us. It's all about healing and inclusion, self-acceptance, finding deep, deep love within ourselves. When we find it within ourselves, we give it to others as well. So for me, every experience I've been through, backpacking around the world, being a celebrity nutritionist, everything is still part of me, and it's led to this next iteration of my work, which is Saluna, which is the Feel Good movement. We have so much information here on the website, which you can explore. You can learn all about it. I call you to please come in and take part in any of it, all of it, if that calls to you. The Feel Good Circle, now we have the Feel Good Podcast, which is Beauty Inside Out previously, and now it's called the Feel Good Podcast. All the new products, all the new programs, and we're just going to keep expanding and offering you more and more as a community to support your lifestyle and healing, health, wellness, love, real wellness, which is how we feel good. Not just the outside, not just looking good or being a certain weight, but actually really feeling joyful and peaceful, which I believe is our birthright. So welcome to Saluna. Welcome to the Feel Good movement. I can't wait to connect with you more, and I'll see you around here. Take care. Lots of love.